What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Impact Zone number 6. I am alongside, as always, the Forbidden Door to my against all odds. It's Max, everybody.
I mean, I'll take that. I mean,
Good shows. I haven't watched one, but I assume.
yeah. I mean, New Japan took some L's at Forbidden Doors, so I hope I get some W's.
Oh,
But,
you'd be the New Japan of it. Okay, that's fair. All right, so we got a lot to talk about. Last week we really hit depth charts pretty hard. If you haven't saw it, it's really in-depth look into it. Didn't matter much because Brian Myers is now the new DMC champion. Going a little heavy on the digital media gimmick, which we always said kind of they should get away from. So we'll see what that belt is. But as you can see, we just kind of put names in there because right now there's no continuity with it. But what we will be touching... the whole episode is top 25, and we'll leave some things in here, but top 25 free agents, looking at that because there's some people that are off, some people that will be on, and then maybe off soon. So let's look into this, but as you guys know, this is spoiler free, well, there's no live chat, so fuck it. Just leave your comments, say whatever you want. All right. So Max, let's get right into that, actually. Obviously, we already mentioned Forbidden Door. It takes one of these names, obviously, right off that list in Cesaro.
yes, Claudio is now all elite member of the BCC.
Yeah.
I mean, he makes sense. He fits with their whole style.
It's a loss in the sense of it would have been big for Impact. At the same time, he's near 40 or in his 40s, early 40s, and that's not a detriment to him. I would love to have him, of course. I've followed Claudio's career since from the get. But if you're him, you're trying to make one last big run or two or whatever it may be. I get what you're.
He's 41.
Because, him, Hero. Adrian.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense for him to go there. He's looking, at this point, he's kind of looking to tail down his career, probably make one big, one more really big payday before he retires so that he can go. I mean, good for him. I think he fits in with that group of Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, William Regal. So I like that. We'll see if he does anything outside of wrestling in multi-man matches. I mean, hey, Buddy Murphy got a singles match.
Our Buddy Murphy
3 weeks ago. So
well, we'll talk about some AEW guys on the show. There's obviously some things that we're gonna hit in a second. We're not gonna, move EC3 up to 2 as if that's a statement. We're just moving them up. And we can look at this because now it's getting really weird. And this is something we got to talk about as our resident watcher of all wrestling. You mentioned something off air, obviously, that there was a video package, right?
There was at Money in the Bank last night. Liv Morgan, new women's champion, by the way. Someone else I've been a fan of. I won't say I ever thought she was great. I like her a lot. Not my Buddy Murphy love, but there was a weird video package that could be Edge, could be Bray Wyatt, could be John Cena. Who knows? Could be anybody. But if people are thinking, I watched it. It's a little creepy. It looked like old school, like cult leader Wyatt to me. So there's a possibility he could be dropping off our top 25, which would make EC3, I guess, our number one.
That's something we're gonna have to look at and kind of think about off air. So obviously this isn't gonna be something we update right away. We're gonna work on it with you guys here live as we go to some of your comments as well, and how it also affects Impact or who could allegedly maybe come to Impact Wrestling. But I don't know, even if Wyndham is off the board, right? Wyatt 6 makes sense, 6 people, he comes with a group, whatever. But if not, great. That would be obviously a big home run hitter. But when you take Wyndham off the board, no offense to EC3, Cross, Dakota Kai, Gargano, and so on. Morrissey's another name, by the way, but I obviously think he's going off to the E. It has to be. Maybe that's him. Maybe something weird with him. Him and Edge.
Maybe.
I thought that was maybe the alleged thing. But anyways, the point is EC3 being at the top and those four, maybe them are the top four, stars out there. It's just...
You know what this feels like to me? An NBA free agency where you have Kevin Durant and LeBron James are both free agents. And then who's next? Oh, and then it's Julius Randle is the next. And you're like, yeah, he's the number 3. I love me some Julius Randle. But yeah, he's the number 3 free agent. But they're just, even EC3, I like EC3. He's just a step down from those other 2 guys.
Yeah, and when we get to update that, because we obviously have the star system there below average. Once again, none of the top 25 or even more are below average. All of these people that hit our top free agent thoughts are the best in the game to us. And that's why we got to talk a little bit about, some of these people here. And I'll pop it up. There we go. So you see a couple on there that are interesting. Some are questions I have. We already talked about Claudio. He's obviously off the board. The rumor of Bandido, who we have as our number 16 now, free agent, former ROH champion, in negotiations with Impact a little, and AEW as well, it seems. No final decision yet, but who knows what's going to happen. So from what you know of Bandido and him at 16, obviously any person is a good fit for Impact. Impact makes the best of it. But is 16 somewhere where you would keep him?
I think you could probably move him up. A lot of this was stuff. A lot of the ROH guys, I think, took some hits for some name value because it's based off of people who, your casual viewer. If somebody who watches WWE sees this guy, are they going to know who he is? Well, no one. They won't know who Bandido is because realistically, if he was in WWE, he'd probably be in Lucha House Party. I don't think they exist anymore, but either way. So they would that's what he would do. He would just be some random guy, just like Hubachu was in the Mexicals. So I think a lot of your ROH guys took some hits there, but I think in terms of in-ring ability, I think Impact would be a great spot for him. And I think. And that's the problem when you look at a top 25. It's based off of everything, and this isn't just based off of how we like somebody. It's, hey, if Ronda Rousey would become a free agent, she'd probably be number 1 on the board because name-wise and she's so huge there. So
we booed the shit out of her in Philadelphia Royal Rumble, so we did our part.
That's true. I booed the shit out of her last night when I was watching Money in the Bank and I was sitting at home. So I think that he's 16 is probably a good spot, but I think in Impact he would end up being more valuable than in a place like WWE, for example, if they were ranking him into this. And that's what this is. It's a top 25 for everybody. So
on top of all the things that we've kind of broke them up, the 5 groups: name value, meaning market value, and reach, and so on. Character development, talk, mic work, ring work, so on. I like the idea of him in there. I hope he comes off the board for that reason. I think he has a great look, great ring presence, and Impact does really good with different.
And being a former ROH world champion, he comes in and he would instantly be able to step into Impact's World Championship as a contender and give you new fresh blood there and new fresh matchups across the board, which would be a big
deal. That was one of the big YouTube comments that kind of got me. It's Metal Easy 25 had mentioned just kind of it doesn't seem they're doing anything for their world heavyweight division, and I get that to an extent as far as who you're developing, but I think we're writing off Moose and Sammy and cast of characters, and Austin, who I think is on his way. But as far as today, is there somebody in that world title picture that would buzz non-Impact fans? Probably not. But you bring in a Bandido here, as you're saying, and that could be not only a banger with him and Josh, but you already have someone that's on that level or looked at.
Yeah, and when it comes to the world heavyweight title, you had Eric Young, and then you had Joe Doran. There's kind of continuing that him versus VBD. So they're doing a storyline there.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense for you not to just turn around and stick Sammy right in there, because you're kind of in a storyline. And sometimes with storylines, you get that stuff. So I don't have an issue with it. I think it's a well thought out issue. So.
Yeah, and especially against all odds being a 2-week turnaround, I understand why they ran through VBD.
Yeah.
Now onto something else. We'll see, once again, spoiler free, so we don't know what the next feud is. But there's some people lurking out there that just got some big W's. And then obviously free agents as well. One of which I kind of want to... Let's continue with the former champion thing here. Let's go with Tessa Blanchard. Now you could say, okay, yeah, she's already on our list here. We actually have her pretty high at 10. That's obviously talent-based. Name value may be a little squashed at this point.
I think her name carries value.
Okay.
I think
her reputation. Okay.
Yes, reputation probably hurts her, but the name carries value.
So, do I think that they would let her come in if they did? I know we have a few teammates of ours that really love Tessa and hope she does come back. I'm okay with it. My question to you is, well, first, I'll make the statement of, I don't think they would, even if they thought the best of her is, this person is loyal to us, she's not going to do us no good or no harm. Let's put her right in the world title. It's not going to happen. Those days are over. They've moved on from that. Jordan maybe long-term eventually getting a shot or maybe a chance at it. Hell yeah, I think they could pull that off. But I think them days are done. So she's only reaching certain level. One, do you welcome her back? I at least thought the Woman of Wrestling thing was a work, but obviously not now, unless they filmed it all and then they're making it a thing. But I just want your opinion on her overall, and would you welcome her back, I guess?
I mean, in ring and character-wise, I absolutely love her. I think she could be an instant, knockout champion contender. I think you could stick her right into the DMC title. The problem is, if she comes in, one, not only how much of a pain in the ass is she going to be to the company, but what is she going to do to the locker room? And that's my biggest concern with her. It's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times. Fool me 7 times. Everywhere she goes, she just lights the bridge on fire and is like, fuck that, I'm never going back there. So, you kind of wonder, if you put a title on her, do you then risk her getting upset, not showing up, and now you're like, well, fuck, what do we do? Yeah.
In all fairness, though, we're not backstage. We don't know what happens. We can only go off the surface value of what we see in here. And to her credit, there was no instances within Impact until, obviously coronavirus and go on from there. So, I wish the best for her. I would love for her to be back. I think the DMC is something great, even though we're both a little sour that they're going more towards the gimmick digital media than just kind of moving on and making it, that mid-card title, but still the lineage is there, and she could add to it for sure. Speaking of returns, now this one is a little weird, and this comes from MetalLazy25 as well, and I talked about it on the other show, but I want to get your opinion on, because you watch all, AEW. I can't say too much of what LAX has done there, but both of their contracts run up in October, right? Because that's when they left us. They signed there. There's a little writing on the wall here. I'm from what is his name? Sean Ross Sapp had mentioned it. I followed up a little bit. This has not been brought to my attention. Had I known about the dates thing and he was marking down the dates to free agency, yes, I remember that. But as far as the depth of Ortiz and Santana don't even stand next to each other during promos. They barely interact.
I was just about to say, yeah, I was trying to pull up when the last time they actually wrestled together, and outside of Blood and Guts and multi-man matches, I don't think they have wrestled. I'll find out when it is, when they just wrestled as just a tag team.
Okay.
I'll let you know once you're done.
What I want to mention is that if that is a real life thing, okay, and he's marking down the days till he's gone. If we were a tag team, Max, and I was marking down the days till we're gone, and we're in the second highest paying, maybe we don't know, equivalent, WWE, whatever, for wrestling in the world. And I say, hey, Max, I'm counting down the days, brother. I don't know if you like it here or not. I just, I want to be on my own. I want to do my own thing. I think I'm ready for the next level, and as far as in singles, and I think that's back with Impact. If he said that to you, I said that to you, you're not going to feel the best. So I understand. Now, does that say they're breaking up? Does it say they're both available in September, October, whatever it is? Possibly. But my question for you is, can you give me some insight on this if you know a little bit more? But also, where does he fit? Because, hey, look, we're talking LAX and we're talking the North. Two teams that were a mainstay during our roughest periods and kind of gave us a shining light. You got one guy from it. You got one guy from it. Is that a already written feud? You know what I mean?
So, in terms of the last time they teamed together, I obviously have read, that they aren't getting along. They don't stand next to each other. I've read all that as well. The last time they teamed as just them was back on February 16th.
Wow.
Since then, they've teamed with. They've been like a bunch of multi-man matches where. Like casino tag team battle royals where they but not just them. They had one with them and Eddie Kingston where they lost. And then they had two Anarchy in the Arena and Blood and Guts. So they've had those, but like them is just a tag team was back in February. Unfortunately, Santana was injured in Blood and Guts. It was a legit injury. He rode out and was done. So that would hopefully that's not too bad. Cross our fingers. But I think if he comes in, I think at bare minimum, you stick him right into the X division. I know he's not one of those high flyers, but that seems to still be their secondary right there. But I think him versus Josh would be great. You obviously can talk about their history with LAX in the North. I think it would be he's a big name because obviously he was in AEW, and if he comes in by himself, you kind of, if you stick him right with Josh, you kind of give him that option of saying, can you be a main event guy by yourself? So because we have the history, we're willing to make the match right away, and because you have the name value, but let's see if you can handle it by yourself. I think that would be awesome. And I think if we were doing our top 25, I think he'd be pretty high up there.
Really?
Just by himself.
Where would you?
I do. You got to think name value. You're probably looking at somewhere in the 3.5 to 4 range because he is with AEW and AEW carries
upped
a
his
lot.
value tremendously.
In ring work, you're probably looking at a similar thing, somewhere between 3.5 to 4 stars. I really like him in ring. His character work, I'd have to go back. I haven't looked a lot of the stuff that he's done by himself, so I'd have to see how he would package him there. Because obviously in Impact he was part of.
I would throw
LAX.
I would throw him with Conan as a manager, and throw him the fuck out there as
that would be great. That would be, if they do that, that's great. Unfortunately, in AEW, he's been the lackey tag team in a stable since he's got there. He was part of Jericho's, whatever they were called, and now he's part of Eddie's Team Mexico. Or
who's Eddie?
That's Eddie Sanchez.
Is that a person? Oh,
or Eddie Kingston. My bad. Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Sanchez.
I don't know why Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston. They're like, hey, Eddie Kingston needs two minorities to stick with him in a team. Santana and Ortiz.
They were the LAX partially. They were LAX for a bit.
I get that, but I think that's kind of I kind of feel like that's what AEW did. They're like we need a minority.
Send us in a white guy.
Let's go ahead and split them up. Yeah, Chris Jericho, all your white dudes, and then they're like, crap, we need something for Sammy Guevara to do. Go back in with Chris Jericho.
Let's talk about that, actually. So, if you don't mind us, I want to keep us in time here, but I also want to get your opinion on this one. It's a glaring hole right in the middle. We also have our friend Chris Zaletta, who had mentioned before, he had wrote us about a few things, but as always, appreciate you, buddy, for always writing us and sticking with us. But we're mentioning Alan Angels, if I'm getting this right. So, one, I want to know, obviously, where you place him in the top 25, where he fits with us, if he's part of it, if he doesn't even make the top 25. I don't know I don't know anything besides that he looks like a Dollar Tree Mike Bennett. So, and maybe he's good. I'm not judging. I'm just saying face value. But he mentions that he wants to know your opinion on what's going to happen to the Dark Order, the very early foundation of the company, the reason why TK gets called Toy Chest Tony. But his point is without Colt per se, say Angels comes in, same, who was the other one we have on here? Stu Grayson. I don't know if he's saying per se, like, is it a great get for Impact, which we want to talk about. First of all, let's talk about Alan Angels. But then overall, is that it's obviously a well-known enough group, but is it a commodity enough to hey, let's bring them in for,
I mean, I would love for them to come in and form the Light Order in Impact. I just think that shit would be hilarious. And then as Dark Order guys get like cut from AEW, they just show up in Impact like, hey. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you do like a crossover event and you're like, wait a second, don't we know you got like where have all these other guys been? Oh, we've been over at Impact. Right. Like, I just think that shit would be great. The thing with the Dark Order is they're kind of directionless in AEW. Is once they lost Brody Lee, they kind of stuck them with Hangman, and then Hangman was kind of like, me, I'm done with you. And they just don't really have much. So, and unfortunately, we've talked about it, as you continue to add people, at some point you've got to let people go. You can't keep this bloated roster. So that's kind of what happened. Stu Grayson, Alan Angels just kind of got contracts expired and went. I think both would be really good additions to Impact. I think obviously as a tag team, they obviously have that history as being a part of the Dark Order. So you can mention that. But I think both of them can go in the ring. I think they're guys that you could stick in the X Division and could put on some really, really good matches.
Look, the X Division depth isn't hurting. At the same time, to have, say you move Trey into a tag team, say, you lose a guy here or there, but to add depth with already a character developed is... That's a cool thing to hear. Because I'm not familiar, once again, I don't know this guy's size, weight, anything, man.
And, I mean, he's smaller. Like Stu Grayson is 5'10", 193. Alan Angels, let me find his size real quick, but I'll look it up real quick. So, I mean, 5'10". But like, here's the thing with the X Division. We've talked about some of them. Obviously, Trey could potentially be moving if you are going to turn, and we hope, cross our fingers, that the DMC becomes that next level belt. Trey could move there. Obviously, Ace Austin, we already feel like he's moved up into the main title picture. Taurus and Crazy Steve could, if need be, if they go back to be a tag team. So that there could be things that you have a great Kenny King could do X Division, could possibly kind of do other things. So there's definitely a possibility where adding people there is definitely a benefit. Alan Angels is 5'8", 169. So he's definitely a smaller guy, definitely an X Division guy. But he's really good in the ring. I like the guy. I obviously don't know if the Dark Order stuff would carry over. But if you stick them in a tag team, obviously you have their history that you can play off of. Like, you can mention the fact that these guys were in a group together. So it just, to me, would make sense to at least bring him in, see what he can do. And you get, I know you don't always want to do this stuff, but if you can get I don't want to say the cast-offs, but if you get people who in AEW knew these guys, and I'm like, man, I liked them in the ring. They were good. Oh, they're on Impact? Let me go ahead and check it out and just see what's going on in Impact. I think that benefits you. Similar thing with Bandido. You can pick up a couple people, and if a couple here and there stay around, like fans, awesome. You've just grown your market.
Yeah, man. I think that you hit it right on the head, and that's kind of what I want to transition to as we close up shop here. Is that, these signings, just like, and that's why I wanted to make the announcement. We were, I think his name's Chucky on I can't remember. Sorry, buddy, but wrote it on Twitter, and we followed up and looked. But the roster page added all of Honor No More individually, first of all. TNA, there goes my light. So you could see where the potential is for once they're gone, or excuse me, disbanded. We now have commodities, right? We have Kenny King, as you said. You got PCO. You got the OGK if they stay. But the light threw me off. But the question, what I was going to ask rather, is what those people did, which we loved about Honor No More, was brought their own already character developed, already established fan base, and brought them, and most of them stayed. Right now, and I just went extensively about the IWC. I don't really think it's community. Everyone's very tribalistic on it. You're not going to make new fans by just saying Impact good or AEW. Bringing on these people who can say, hey man, you might not like Impact. You might still be in that weird mob.
Right. LOL TNA.
But you can lie and say you're at least watching for this guy. Oh, I like it, but... So I think they have that, and is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, with Honor No More, outside of, I think Vincent was a different character, because he was part of... Yeah. He had his group, like his... Outside of that, like, so obviously you're not going to do the whole Dark Order thing, but you can still bring them in, and, like, even though I don't think they were a tag team in AEW, like that... Those two, I don't think they teamed together, but they still have a history together, and you still... It's nice in wrestling to have friends, and friends for a reason. Like, hey, why is this guy helping me out in a match? Oh, because we know each other from X, Y, and Z. So it immediately gives you a connection. Like, oh, okay, this is where they're going. And then if they like it, if more Dark Order people get released, then you can build yourself a bootleg Dark Order
or a new church or Decay. So yeah, and that's my point, is that I think not only do they have that, as you're mentioning, that character development already instilled, so they could kind of come over, but they could bring some people along, or new fresh eyes, because we're not creating them. It's not just us. It's obviously all wrestling's in a little bit of a lull right now. I feel, at least. It gets people, at least the community that's avid watchers of all products, or maybe one or two, to say, okay, at least I have a reason to watch this for a segment or two, and then maybe they stick around. So I think that's the best way to do it. You're not going to create new fans by just having signing someone, one of the people on these top 25, I don't think, but at least you can get the fans that they bring with them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Bray Wyatt, that's really your only one left that is a big enough name to get a lot of people to look and say, Paige would be the other one. Yeah, she's a possibility. I think she would be an interesting one. I agree. Paige, I just saw her on her low. I think she may need to be moved up, if we're being serious. She may end up being our number one overall free agent if we go back and readjust this stuff. We relook at reevaluate.
Well, we do need to readjust it. We do, and we're talking about it here. And I think I see some things now that we can move around. But I think a lot plays in that is her health. We have to see what she's saying. I haven't followed up if she's been saying more and more about, oh, I can't wait to get in the ring, or instead of just I can't wait to be free, or whatever the hell she said. So we'll look into that. But
yeah,
all right, brother. Right under the mark. Fun show as always. We have a lot more in store for this channel coming up soon. But you got anything you want to put in there?
No. I mean, it's exciting. I think that Impact is in a really good spot. Every event they do, at least from a Reddit standpoint, I can say, people talk about how good it is. Now, maybe that's just Impact fans choosing to watch it and they're liking it. But at the bare minimum, you're putting out a good product and your fans aren't saying, man, this is getting stale. Like, and I think that's important for Impact is keep the product good so you can keep your fan base, and then slowly look to expand. I do think they need more social media presence and better marketing on some things.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. And it's never that I did not. It's just that money ain't going to grow on a tree. So
no, I agree.
We need more people to accept Impact and then not just come back and forth. I don't know. It's going to be hard, man. It's going to be hard, but like you said, they're putting out a good product, a great product. In some cases, a lot of the cases, they just got to keep building on it. I don't go on Reddit, so it's nice to hear that there's people talking good there. I just think the more we focus on the good about it, and less we spotlight the negative size, sellouts, all that jazz, will be okay. Because there isn't going to be a savior that comes in anymore. We can look at this. We can put that out of the realm of reality until someone becomes a free agent. But for now, we got to build within. And I think that's where we're at. All right, guys. A pleasure. Damn, 3 times. That's a sign. All right, guys. Lights are out. We will see you next time. For Max, myself, goodbye, everybody.
Later, guys.